Marcy Ryan, why should they bother with the illegal crossing problems when they can get children from right here in the U.S. and face no transporting issues at immigration points? Sex traffickers are making millions of dollars each year off of American children.
It's like this underworld activity that most Americans just don't realize.
When people speak about the sex trafficking market, experts say it's not surprising to hear about places like Thailand, India, some European countries, and even Mexico. Last month, experts gathered in the Rio Grande Valley to discuss the multi-million-dollar international industry that's quickly spreading to new markets, including right here in the valley.
In my mind, it was always in the Far East, in the Middle East, and maybe in Africa, but certainly not in the developed nations and not in our country. Much to our horror, however, it is here in the valley.
Family Crisis Center Executive Director Brenda Heredia says she was alerted by the FBI recently that sex traffickers are making bold moves, scouting middle and elementary schools. The American-born victims most likely sought by traffickers are children with low self-esteem.
The student who is alone, who appears to not have many friends, who is walking home.
But this is no child's play. Sex trafficking is a lucrative business. It's estimated that these criminals make hundreds of thousands, if not millions, off of each sex victim.
One victim of sex trafficking in one day services as many as 50 men. 50. Now, that tells you, I mean, over the course of a week, hundreds of people are taking advantage of this.
If one sex victim services 50 clients per day and charges a minimum of $50 per client, over the course of a week, the victim could service up to 350 clients for a minimum of $17,500. Heredia says criminals are looking to get anywhere from 10 to 15 years of service out of each victim. That means from just one sex victim, traffickers can make anywhere from $8.4 to $12.6 million over the course of 10 to 15 years. Getting the most bank out of each victim is one of the reasons, Heredia says, the average age of sex trafficking victims has drastically decreased.
We're talking 12, 13, 14, 15 years of age. The average age now for sex trafficking victims is 12 years of age. Think about it. If you can easily get a child, think about that. That's your investment. It's more long term now. Now you've got 10 to 15 good years that you will be making money on this individual. Not so with older ones.
These traffickers are subtle in luring children. They don't just snatch children from the streets, Heredia says. Instead, they methodically lure and groom them using the same techniques as child predators.
They'll befriend them, say, would you like to go and get a hamburger? Or can I give you this present?
It could take just days or months to spot the child they want, experts say. But once they find that vulnerable victim, sex traffickers move in fast.
It takes within 24 to 48 hours of a young girl running away from home for a pimp to approach her, literally. And then that sort of figure is really startling.
Common spots where sex traffickers like to make fast and easy money: truck stops.
I mean, if you drive from here up to Houston and you stop at any of the truck stops at night, there you see young girls all the time. And in fact, if you look at the truck drivers, they often have bumper stickers that say "No lot lizards." I've interviewed some truck drivers and they've said things like, I go and get a cup of coffee and I come back into my truck, into my cabin, and literally there's a young girl sitting next to me. And one truck driver said, I said, you're like about 12 years old, go home.
Heredia says several years ago, she dealt with 2 American girls that came from middle-class average families who became sex trafficking victims and made their money at truck stops for about a period of 2 years. And they were from Texas, not far from the valley.
Wanted to get away from home, wanted to go off to the big city. So she ran away. And she was hitchhiking. So within 24 hours of her running away, somebody who picked her up, bought her a meal, said, oh, you look like you need some new clothes, bought her some clothes, very seductive clothing, and then said, Okay, I've bought you a meal, I've bought you these clothes, now you've got to pay me back, and this is how you will do it.
Of the 3 children lured into sex trafficking here in Texas, which were from Houston, Austin, and San Antonio, Heredia says she knows of just 1 being rescued. Clark and Heredia agree that parental vigilance over their children's behavior and activities, especially on the internet, is what could make the difference in preventing them from becoming a sex trafficking victim.
When there's a dollar to be made off of individuals who are experiencing hardships, the traffickers will move in and take advantage.
Other popular scouting sites for American children are Craigslist, MySpace, and Facebook. Heredia says the one reason the sex trafficking victim from here in Texas was found is because her parents knew her habits and reported her missing immediately. Parental awareness and education, they say, are the keys to fighting this problem. In the studio, Daisy Martinez, Action 4 News.